Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to completely prep you to ace your upcoming poetry exams with a deep dive into Fleur Adcock's brilliant work, The Telephone Call. I am super thrilled to be your guide today. Think of me as your expert poetry teacher, here to walk our study group through absolutely every single line, theme, and hidden meaning so you can walk into that exam room with total confidence. Let's get into it.
So I want you to imagine getting a call out of the blue. You pick up, and the very first thing the person on the other end asks is this exact question: Are you sitting down? Immediately your heart rate spikes, right? I mean, you're expecting some life-altering news. And this incredibly relatable, gripping hook is exactly how Fleur Adcock chooses to begin her poem. She literally grabs us by the collar and drags us right into the emotional roller coaster of her speaker. When you actually look at the full text of the poem, it pulls us right into this surreal, conversational whirlwind where our speaker is told they've won £1,000,000 in the Ultra Super Global Special. Notice the layout of the text. It doesn't look like a stiff, traditional poem at all, does it? It looks like a transcript of a dialogue. We are essentially eavesdropping on a highly private, incredibly shocking phone call. Here is our interactive workshop roadmap for today. We'll start with the poem's summary and background, move through form, structure, and setting, uncover the theme of illusion versus experience, dissect the imagery and symbolism, nail down the key poetic devices, and wrap it all up with a final exam review. Part 1. Poem summary and background. Meet Fleur Adcock and Universal Lotteries. Let's see exactly how this New Zealand-born poet sets the stage for a massive psychological trick. To really understand a poem, it always helps to know a bit about the mind that crafted it. Fleur Adcock, born in 1934, is celebrated for her conversational, rational style. She's not about that overly flowery, impossible-to-decode language. Instead, she uses everyday scenarios. Here, the plot is simple but completely devious. A speaker gets a call from Universal Lotteries claiming they've won £1,000,000. But the twist? The company doesn't actually deal in money. The prize is literally just the experience of believing you won. Adcock uses this relatable scenario, that universal dream of sudden wealth, to expose our society's deep obsession with material success. Moving on to Part 2. Form, structure, and setting. Disembodied voices. The crucial point here is understanding how the physical look of the poem mirrors the emotional journey. If you ever get an exam question asking for a graphological analysis, which is really just a fancy way of asking how the poem's visual layout on the page affects its meaning, this is exactly what you need to know. The poem is written in 6 stanzas of free verse, meaning there's no strict, predictable rhyme scheme. This perfectly mimics the unpredictable, spontaneous flow of a real telephone call. Notice how each stanza is exactly 8 lines, almost like neat paragraphs of prose. The syllable count stays pretty steady between 7 and 10 syllables per line. This lack of a rigid meter gives the poem a natural rhythm, while the stanza breaks act as dramatic pauses, shifting us from grandiosity down to disbelief, skepticism, and finally, that crashing reality. And where does all this happen? Well, nowhere, or rather, anywhere. By removing all physical descriptions of a room or a landscape, Adcock traps us entirely within the emotional and psychological space of the speaker. The setting is purely the disembodied telephone connection itself. It's a perfect symbol for the distant, impersonal nature of modern corporate institutions reaching right into our most private spaces. Part 3. Theme: Illusion versus experience, and the commodification of emotion. Let's get to the absolute core of this poem and unpack the tension between what we expect and what we actually get. This is the main engine driving the piece. On one side, we have the illusion, all that grandiose language of the ultra super global special and the myth of ultimate financial freedom. But on the other side, we have reality. Adcock is contrasting the hollow, consumerist promise of wealth against the undeniable physiological reality of our genuine human emotions. Think about it: a dry throat, a tingling nose, the sudden urge to cry. She's showing us that while wealth is an illusion crafted by society, our bodily, emotional experiences are the only things that are truly undeniably real. This right here is a vital study point for your exams. The poem is basically a dramatic satire mocking how modern institutions try to commodify our life experiences. The callers literally tell the speaker, experiences are what we deal in. They're treating a panic-inducing emotional roller coaster as if it's a tangible prize that can just gift wrap for you. It's a really sharp critique of a society that thinks you need external monetary validation to feel fulfilled or to have a valid human experience. Let's look at Part 4. Imagery and symbolism. Flying saucers and fake checks.
Let's see how the poet paints vivid pictures using simple, everyday language. Imagery is how poets make us see and feel the narrative. The £1,000,000 in this poem? It isn't just cash. It's a profound symbol of the capricious, random nature of fate and the empty promises of a commercialized culture. The lottery itself symbolizes the false idea of meritocracy. You know, the lie that hard work always leads to success, when in reality, life's outcomes are often just as random as a name pulled by a computer.
Notice how the visual imagery creates a deeply emotional mood here. It shifts us from a mundane seated position right into an otherworldly, surreal panic. The speaker says the top of their head is revolving like a flying saucer. That out-of-body visual perfectly captures a dizzying, dreamlike state of shock. But then Adcock violently yanks us back into the physical body with sensory details, a throat going dry, a nose tingling. It's an absolute masterclass in using contrasting imagery to reflect an emotional roller coaster.
Part 5. Key poetic devices used. The tools of the trade. If you want to score top marks on your WIAC or NABTEB literature exams, you absolutely have to use these specific literary terms. Examiners love it when you can name the exact tools the poet is using. First up is a fantastic tool called the caesura. A caesura is a deliberate pause right in the middle of a line of poetry. Adcock uses this to literally force you, the reader, to stop, breathe, and feel the speaker's overwhelming hesitation and stuttering shock. Looking at this quote, you can see the device in action. Notice the punctuation breaking up the lines. Well, that's incredible, I said. It's marvelous. I still can't quite. The caesura acts as a pivot. The visual pause on the page perfectly matches the speaker's stunned bewilderment. They literally can't even finish their sentence. It adds such a raw, authentic feel to the dialogue. Next, we have the backbone of the entire poem, situational irony. This is when the actual outcome is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. The ultimate punchline of this poem hinges entirely on situational irony, flipping the greatest financial dream ever into a completely empty reality. Just listen to this exchange. Oh, they said, there's no check. But the money? We don't deal in money. This highlights the sheer absurdity of the situation. The lottery officials are treating the delivery of an intangible, internal experience as a standard, everyday business transaction. I mean, it is deeply ironic that a company called Universal Lotteries doesn't actually give out any money. It completely mocks our societal expectations. And we can't forget the humor she injects through simile. Remember the head revolving like a flying saucer? Comparing the spinning, overwhelmed human mind to an extraterrestrial spaceship adds a touch of whimsical lightness and humor to what is otherwise a very tense, manipulative phone call. And finally, Part 6, Final Exam Review, Testing Your Knowledge. Okay, study group, let's lock in everything we've covered with a quick revision check directly based on past exam questions. If you can answer these, you're golden. Take a second to recall our discussion on the retrospective chances module and what the lottery actually represents in society. How would you structure this in an essay?
If you get an essay prompt on symbolism, hitting these exact bullet points will demonstrate a perfect interpretation of the poem's deeper sociological critique. You'd want to explain how the lottery represents life's unpredictability, how it challenges meritocracy, and how the abrupt dead phone line at the end exposes the fleeting nature of seeking validation from materialistic corporate entities.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you prepare for your exams. Adcock really forces us to ask, are our emotions only valuable if someone else validates them? Keep analyzing, keep questioning, and best of luck with your poetry studies. You're going to do absolutely amazing.